Alright YouTube, it's Brian again. I'm back on the Insignia. I've got a fifth and first gear problem, which is when you let off the pedal, the gear stick shifts. I thought I had fixed the problem, but unfortunately I forgot to put in the right bearing races, which are these. So what I need to do is actually whip up the gearbox. Actually not the gearbox, I figured out a way of doing the end case bearings without actually having to drop the gearbox and all that malarkey. So what I'm doing at the moment is whipping out. I'll whip up the battery in the battery case, then to get to the engine mount that's over here. I don't know if you can see it. There's an engine mount there. Then I'll support the engine from there with an engine brace, so that I can remove that. So that I can remove the. Oh God, my brain is just frozen. The gearbox mount at the end. Then the next step, what I'll do is remove all these bolts on the end case of the gearbox. So you've got these bolts that go all around. Then hopefully I'll be lucky enough to actually pop this case out and get to the races which live there. The bearing races just live over there. So what I need to do first is just quickly finish what I'm doing, like taking the the battery case out. So now the battery case or carrier has been taken off. I said it's a 12. It's held in by 1, 2, 3 12mm bolts. So you just whip up the bolts, and it just sits in here. So you have to slide this out. I think that's the ECU. Slide the ECU out, and then disconnect this wire here from the top. Then once you've done that, your battery will slide out. So that's the main thing that I need to take out. Can't see. Okay, there we go. These 3 bolts, because once those 3 bolts come out, I can't seem to get decent focus. Then that will allow me to remove. I need a decent camera, man. Can't seem to focus. That will allow me to remove. There's a couple of bolts which are there. So remove those bolts and whip out the end case. But what I still need to do though is put the engine brace on, which is that one over there. Alright, as we can see, I've got the engine brace on to support the engine, so that when I drop the subframe or loosen the subframe, there's something holding the engine up. That prevents or minimizes the need for me to check the engine from underneath. So far, in terms of where I am, the mount is come out, which is this one. This last bolt was a nightmare to get to because of access. However, it's out now, so no biggie. Managed to remove all the back cover bolts. They're all out, and the casing is more or less kind of dangling. But the problem that I have is because the shafts extend out to there, I can kind of wiggle it out, but then it gets caught up. So what I need to do is drop the subframe a bit, and there's a couple of bolts underneath there. Let me show you this bolt here. and this one here. So loosen those off. But okay, after I've done that, the problem that I'll find is that I'll need to, because the anti-roll bar drop link is actually holding subframe up onto the strut, so I'll have to pop this bolt out, which is this one here. I've already done that, but what I'll just advise you guys to do is get yourself one of these. They call them go-through kits, so that I'll just quickly show you. I'll just put this bolt on. I should have thought of this before I started shooting, so that you can secure the bolt, but then be able to put a Torx, secure the bolt and use this to unwind it, but then at the same time secure the Torx bit that's inside to prevent, you know what I mean, the ball joint just rolling around. So I mean, I've done that and it's all done. So what I need to do now is pop this out, see how I get along, and if it so happens that the wishbone is pushing this up and it's not allowing the subframe to drop down enough, then there's just one bolt here. Let me see if I can find it. I've got poor access, yeah, but there's a bolt here, that bolt here. Take that off, drop this down, then the subframe will be able to come down, then I can just slide this out. To be honest, that's better than actually having to drop the whole gearbox in, because it's a nightmare. I've done it once and I don't want to do it again, so just trying to find easy ways that gives me better access. Alright, okay, I've managed to take down the drop link, same as the wishbone as well. That's loose now, so that allows the subframe to travel a bit further down because it's not being held up by the strut, which gives me enough room to try feeding this guy out. So all the bolts are out, so it's just a matter of carefully popping it out. There you go. And those are the shafts, and these are the bearings that I need to get rid of. So I just need to take one of these off, just this one here, and I put too much silicone. So just be careful when you sealing the gearbox not to put too much silicone, otherwise it will just go into your gearbox oil. So I was quite lucky with this, because as you can see, when you squeeze or tighten up the box, some of the silicone squeezes and goes inside. In terms of the impact or effect that it's got on the quality of oil or the degradation, I'm not quite sure. So this is where I am at the moment. So all I just need to do is go and take out that bearing, give the gearbox a little clean, then I'm back at the action. So right now I'll just quickly pop to my press and press the, I'll first pull out the bearing race, then go to my press. So now the question becomes, how do you pull out those races? And I'll say, I know I've done my research, and on Vauxhall pages, there's a specific tool that you use to press that out, but I'll use this vice grip. So what I'll just do is split this in half, and what I found out is it actually works perfectly. So all I just need to do is undo this bolt, have it in half, then use it as a lever bar, but you gotta make sure that you protect this, because you don't want to gouge the surface to that. And in between there, I don't know if I can see, there's a gap that you can put it in there, same as this side as well, so you can put that and lever it up to remove the brace. Just give me a moment, let me just set up, then I will show you how to do it. I won't be able to show you the whole process, but I'll just show you the setup because I don't have a tripod to hold the camera. So what I do first is put a nice washer there to protect the aluminium. Then come in, anchor this in like that, and then just keep on levering it up all the way around. So I need both hands. Let me just quickly start the process, then I'll continue with the video. Alright, so I've actually managed to pull out the bearing race, and what I found out was starting initially with the 2P piece kind of gave me enough room underneath to sort of get in underneath and lever. Where's my specialist tool? So it gave me enough room to get underneath and more or less kind of lever up. Then I gradually moved to the bigger washer as the race was coming up, just to give me enough leverage to pull the race out. So if I take this race out, what you'll find is underneath there's a shim, so that shim needs to go back in there. But this is where I was levering the bearing race from underneath. So it sits like this, you more or less come in there and you pop it up, but just make sure that you do it evenly. Do it on both sides, because you've got these two little bits that you can, or is it two recesses that you can actually get the this specialist expensive tool. Yeah, so now that the race is out, I don't know what's up with the camera quality, man, it's a bit rubbish, but now that the race is out, all I'll just do now is grab the other race, the one that I screwed up and forgot to put it. As you can see, if I grab this race here and that one, in terms of the thickness, you know, there's a vast marked this camera doesn't really want to focus, but you can tell there's quite a few inches difference. So that's what's making the gear stick move, because the races are more or less the bearings are more or less kind of having a boogie in there, rather than actually sitting still and doing what they need to be doing, holding the shaft in place. So now I'll just go back to my press, make sure that whatever damage I made on this shim, I mean ideally you have to replace with a new one, but I'm not, so make sure that this shim is nice and flat, and stick the shim in, pop to the press here and press the bearing in. Alright, so now how do we get the bearing race pressed on? I've got this kit that I bought some time ago, that's for a different type of a car. So I've taken one of these, and I've gone on my press. I've put a nice block of wood underneath just to absorb all the impact of pressure that's coming in. Then that's the item there, so this will sit on top. Then I'll use an extension bar like that, and then press the bearing down. I mean, the key thing is making sure that you know, you're evenly doing it, because otherwise you cause yourself some crazy headaches. So make sure that you take your time, no rush. Make sure that it's nice and nicely aligned and it's nice and straight. Then you gently push it down, then voila. So now I've managed to squeeze in the gearbox casing, bearing is in, all the bolts are in now, and all I just need to do is torque it up, you've got to use a torque wrench, and I'm using a snap-on torque wrench, but this thing is a beautiful piece of shit. I don't know if it's my batteries or something else. The torque setting for that is 22 Newton meters, so we'll adjust it to 22. Oh, just gone. There you go, 22 Newton meters. So what I'll do is I'll torque all the bolts all around the gearbox, then fill the gearbox oil, and hopefully I'm in business. Alright, now the gearbox is in, all the bolts in the oil has been topped up. So the moral of the story is make sure that when you're doing a job, pay close attention, because if you start thinking that things are too simple and straightforward, you start making stupid mistakes like that, where you end up having to do a job that's heavy and major just to replace something as small as this. Yeah, so concentrate, focus, and don't do what I did. Alright, catch you next time.